What is going on, members of the J area? Welcome back to another episode of a post-show live. What a time to be alive on a Saturday night following Saturday night's main event. I'm a little bit early. I jumped the gun here when it came to the live stream just because I can already see the amount of participation that we're seeing already in the chat. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. Sylvia, what's going on? Alex, Sanfran 5, Nacho Camacho, Ria is the real one. Peter Parker, Luis, what's going on? Hoping you guys are having a fantastic night. I know I enjoyed my night getting to see Saturday night's main event. The first time we've seen one since 2008. They talked about it on the broadcast, and I got to say, I'm a little conflicted when it comes to this show. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had fun watching it, but I'm not going to lie to you. I was expecting a little bit more of surprise, a little bit more pizzazz when it came to this show. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big Cody fan. I like Gunther as the world champion. Liv Morgan's okay. Nothing against her. I would have liked an Io Sky victory. But overall, I thought it was a solid show, but I kind of felt like it could have had another level to it. Now, maybe that's because of a lack of championships changing hands. Of course, the only new champion that we really got was Chelsea Green, who was the inaugural United States champion. And don't get me wrong, she's earned that right. Chelsea Green, who, not to bury the lead here, we'll get to the Cody stuff in a second, but what's going on, Laura? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us here on a Saturday night live. Not SNL from NBC, but Saturday Night Live here in the J area. We're talking about Saturday Night Main Event. The main event itself, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. And I got to say, that championship, the Winged Eagle that we were able to see, for one night only, they described, it's a thing of beauty. There's a reason why we have it over the shoulder over here. For me, it's one of the best looking championships of all time. If you haven't seen the video where I discussed my 5 favorite title designs on the Friday 5 count this week, do yourself a favor, check it out. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and your opinions and what you thought was one of the best title designs. What are some of your favorites? Please check that out. But yeah, overall, solid show. A good way to reintroduce the concept of Saturday night's main event. I guess you don't want to blow your load all in one shot, right? You don't want to show your hand. You don't want to have the best show being the first show. You got to build up to it. So maybe in January, when we have the San Antonio edition of Saturday night's main event, maybe that'll be the one where something huge happens. It will be right in the thick of things during the Royal Rumble season, leading up to WrestleMania 41. But Cody Rhodes gets the victory over Kevin Owens, which, I mean, it's hit or miss, depending on where you stand on the spectrum. There are some people who are fans of Cody Rhodes, like myself. I'm a fan of Cody. Love the story they're telling with him. Then there's those who think that his title reign isn't living up to the expectation. Well, it's very difficult to do so when you follow Roman Reigns. 4 years on top, 1,316 days as champion, with a storyline so rich in the Bloodline saga. It's difficult to top that. How are you going to follow that? Now, for me, I try to enjoy the ride while I'm still on it. And then once the ride ends, now I can critique it. Now I can criticize it. Now I can kind of gauge where my feelings are. But I can't, judge a movie, review a movie while it's still on. You got to wait till it's over. So Cody Rhodes' title reign continues. After this, I can see it moving into WrestleMania. This was the only title opportunity that I thought Cody had a shot of actually losing. And he didn't. What was interesting was the story between Kevin and he was that back at Bash in Berlin, he wasn't able to pull the trigger, he being Kevin Owens. He wasn't willing to do the dirty work. He didn't pull the trigger on the injured leg of Cody Rhodes. That eventually led to his demise in Berlin. So tonight, he finally pulls the trigger, brings in a steel chair, reintroduces the chair into the matchup, and tries to take advantage of a wounded Cody Rhodes. He pulls the trigger, but he misses. Cody Rhodes takes full advantage of this, hits the crossroads on the chair, disposes of the chair, beats Kevin Owens in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. That was it. Now, part of me It was kind of fast paced towards that end. I don't want to use the word anticlimactic, but it was just so sudden. Kevin Owens, his loss. It's very interesting where we're going to go from here. In preparation for the stream here, I'm getting everything ready. I'm making sure the camera's working. I'm making sure we got a decent thumbnail. And I see online, following Saturday night's main event, Kevin Owens attacks Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens lays out the WWE Champion. He hits a pile driver on him. The very same pile driver that was nailed on Randy Orton, sidelining him for now, a month? Cody Rhodes, incapacitated, laid out, had to be stretchered out through the crowd. The WWE Champion, MIA. It's looking like we might be missing Cody Rhodes for some time. Now, there's a story there because we just saw someone, a champion in Jade Cargill, who has been injured, has been attacked, therefore had to vacate her title, because it seems like Naomi's going to be the tag team partner for Bianca Belair and carry the mantle of that tag team championship reign. How long will Cody be out? Because if he's out for a substantial amount of time, one has to ask the question, will he be forced to relinquish the championship? Rhea did. Jade just did. We're going to have to wait and see on how long Cody Rhodes will be out. Now, me being a prolific pro wrestling fan, watching the product, keeping up with the product, I would like to think that Cody Rhodes is a fighting champion. I would like to think that he won't be out too long. He'll come out with a vengeance. More likely, probably in time for the Monday Night Raw debut on Netflix. And the reason I say this, one is because he's the WWE Champion. He's the golden boy. He's the babyface of the biggest pro wrestling promotion in the world. Why wouldn't you have him on that first episode of Monday Night Raw? Now, I think it'll probably be a return, a surprise return. Maybe they won't, outright advertise it as a return. But I can't see him missing that first episode. I just can't. Also, if you've seen the footage, the pile driver wasn't the exact same pile driver that Randy Orton received. It was a variation of it. You see, Randy Orton, he endured a sudden pile driver. Spiked his head right into the middle of the mat. Cody Rhodes, the pile driver that he received, it was more of like a package. A packaged pile driver where the one hitting the move kind of cradles his opponent in a maneuver where it doesn't necessarily spike him into the ground. Now, the ramifications of the maneuver still can be lethal. You're still suffering a sudden injury where the spine is being, affected. So I'm not saying he's Superman. He's going to be back on the next episode of SmackDown, but I don't see him being gone for too long. One, because of that episode of Raw. Two, because he's the champion. And you don't want to have him relinquish that championship. In other news, Kevin Owens leaves the arena with the Winged Eagle WWE Championship. But who meets him at the ramp? It's Triple H. Triple H, the chief content officer. Talking about the man that really runs the place in the WWE, especially when it comes to the day-to-day operations. A guy that has been criticized by Kevin Owens because Cody Rhodes is perceived to be, again, the golden boy of the promotion. They get physical. They have a little shoving match here, and we haven't seen Triple H get physical in quite some time. His in-ring career ended at WrestleMania 38. So we haven't seen him become physical in quite some time. So to see him having this little shoving match with Kevin Owens, that's interesting. Are we going to be seeing more of a anti-authority Kevin Owens? I mean, he's already had his issues with the baby faces on the roster. I know he's going to have his issues with Nick Aldis. He's never really been a company guy with the exception of that short stint with Triple H and the Authority. But Kevin Owens, it does have a point. He is kind of valid, with this whole argument against Cody Rhodes. And now he's dispatched of not one but two of the top baby faces in that company. Of course, Cody Rhodes and the aforementioned Randy Orton, who I think will be coming pretty soon. I'm thinking maybe the Raw debut on Netflix is a huge show. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some sort of involvement there. Surely the Randy Orton return could occur at the Royal Rumble. That's always a good guess, and it's a great opportunity for a huge return. But with Kevin Owens failing to win the WWE title, you can see it going one of two ways. One, a derailment of his momentum and fans kind of backing off and realizing, of course he lost. Of course he lost. Or the alternative, which I hope is the approach, is that Kevin Owens just continues to descend into madness. He pulled the trigger on Cody Rhodes tonight with the steel chair attack. Wasn't able to get it done. But we are getting closer and closer to that heel Kevin Owens from NXT, from when he first emerged as the prize fighter. We're getting eerily close to that. And I think with Kevin Owens, it's only a matter of time before he wins gold. I do believe that the only guys on the full-time roster that have a shot of dethroning Cody Rhodes is Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. I don't see Roman doing it, especially because we just saw that story at WrestleMania 40. The Rock isn't a full-time guy, and even then, I kind of question whether or not he should win the title as a part-timer. He doesn't need the championship. The story doesn't need the title. Nonetheless, they had Cody Rhodes go over, sending the crowd home happy for the first edition in, 16 years. Saturday night's main event from Long Island, New York, Nassau Coliseum. Cody Rhodes defeats Kevin Owens, but it wasn't the only championship that was on the line. In fact, we had the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther defending his title in a triple threat match against a pair of Judgment Day brothers, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and what I thought really puts up a fight for match of the night. If you were to tell me that your favorite matchup was the triple threat match or the Cody Kevin matchup, I would not be mad. I wouldn't even argue with you. I thought both matches were stellar. I thought they delivered. I think the story of Kevin and Cody really carried the matchup. But in terms of in-ring, that triple threat match is everything that I want in a triple threat match. Non-stop action, threading storylines between the feud of Finn and Damian, Damian and Gunther, Gunther and Finn now having a little bit of an issue since the attack at the Survivor Series. And Gunther gets what he finally has been looking for, and that's a decisive victory. He's been struggling to have credible victories over these baby faces, namely Damian Priest, because of the involvement of Finn Balor. But he was now able to defeat not one, but both members of this little triangle that they've had happening since SummerSlam. Gunther was in desperate need of a victory here to try to put him back on track. He had a little bit of a crisis there, struggling to figure out who he was, trying to figure out what kind of champion he wants to be. He was a dominant Intercontinental Champion, held the title for over 600 days. But since he's won this world champion, we've kind of seen doubt crept into the mind of the ring general, the reigning king of the ring. Hopefully this is the beginning of a nice stretch here for Gunther. I think he's done with Damian Priest. He might have just gotten started with Finn, but I think Finn's main priority is with Damian Priest. I don't see Gunther being a participant of this rivalry between the former Judgment Day partnership. I don't see it. I just don't. The question is, who does he have next? I don't know. A lot of storylines becoming interwoven with one another. Look no further than the opening matchup. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn had a fiery opener that got the crowd invested, got them involved, got them excited. It felt like a premium live event. It felt like a big event. And it was a big event. Saturday night's main event. We started off with a bang. Drew McIntyre beat Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre on a mission to obliterate everyone that has been involved with that bloodline story. Jey Uso, a couple of Raws ago. Jimmy Uso on SmackDown, and now Sami Zayn here tonight for Saturday night's main event. The next one, of course, would be Roman Reigns. But we know Drew McIntyre hasn't beaten Roman. Instead, he's taken advantage of beating all his, fellow bloodline members. But eventually, Drew McIntyre's going to catch up to Roman. And man, what is that going to be like? Where the roles are reversed. Roman seemingly the babyface, Drew McIntyre, one of the best heels the business has today. Drew McIntyre gets a huge win. And of course he would. I mean, he returns from Hell in a Cell, where he had arguably the best match of the year. He loses to CM Punk. Of course he's going to come back looking for momentum, looking for revenge against the Bloodline in any form that it comes. He beat Sami Zayn, setting his sights more likely on Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, the OTC, if you will. But in other news, we do have a couple of other matches that took place tonight on Saturday night's main event as we recall and recap and react to a night's action that included the inaugural United States Champion for the women being crowned in the form of Chelsea Green. I won't do the voice. I can't do it justice like Samantha Irvin or Alicia Taylor. But Chelsea Green gets a huge win. A huge win for her career. I mean, this is a girl who really had done everything the company had asked for when it came to these comedic segments. I mean, look no further than the dumpster matchup that she had against Mia Yim back in October. The comedic timing, the athleticism, her little mini feud with Nick Aldis. I honestly thought that we were going to see Mia Yim win. But I'm so happy to see that Chelsea Green gets the victory here. She's earned it. She's more than deserving of it. And a big shout out to Matt Cardona, her husband. They were in his hometown of Long Island. She had a couple of tributes to Cardona, obviously with the gear, hitting the Rough Rider. Big congrats to Chelsea Green, and I'm so excited to see what they do with this division, with this title. Chelsea Green, the first ever United States Champion. I agree, Celia. I thought it was a good show, and it did go pretty quickly. You know, it was a 2-hour show filled with, I thought, a little bit more commercials than I'm used to, than like a Raw or a SmackDown. I don't know if that was just me. I thought there was a good amount of commercials here. But it was a good show. Like I said, my only critique about it was a lack of surprises, a lack of a huge moment. But overall, a good show. I'm not going to say it was bad. It wasn't bad. Maybe my expectations were just a little too high. But overall, I enjoyed it. Solid matchups, solid, ambiance. We had a good nostalgic feel to it. Jesse the Body Ventura was there on commentary, also helped host it with Joe Tessitore. Had a few legends in attendance like Jimmy Hart, Coco Beware, Greg Valentine. Tito Santana was also there. So that was nice. That was a nice touch to see some of the old legends in attendance for a Saturday night's main event. The first one of its kind in 16 years. We also saw Liv Morgan successfully defend her championship against challenger Io Sky in what was, I thought, an entertaining matchup. I mean, like I said, I trusted that Io Sky would be able to have a great matchup with anybody. By no means am I saying that Liv Morgan isn't a fighting champion or she's not a good champion. But I think so highly of Io. And I thought it was a great matchup. Liv Morgan with what might have been a broken nose. That's what they said on commentary. Don't know if that's confirmed or not. But she stuck it out. She got a win, a clean win over Io. And now she has Rhea Ripley back in her crosshairs. So I'm thinking that matchup is probably going to take place on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, because they're just going to load that show up. Where else would you have it? The Rumble? That's in February. I don't think you can stretch it out to Mania. I think the first episode of Raw on Netflix probably will have Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley for the championship, and then we'll go from there. Because this feud has been going on for quite some time. I didn't know what to expect, as this is my first Saturday night's main event. It was good. It had the feel of a premium live event and had the feel of a big event. And as it should, Saturday night's main event was one of the premier shows back in the day. It was a way to kind of highlight the WWE on NBC and really take advantage of Saturday Night Live. Introducing new fans, and in this case, reintroducing older fans. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It was an awesome way to attract more attention and highlight some of the bigger stories. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, big story. Gunther is the world champion, big attraction. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, come on. It's been a top storyline for quite some time. Drew McIntyre and Sammy is included in the bloodline. A new championship was created and crowned. So a lot to take from the show itself. Kevin says, Liv versus Io Sky was great. You probably joke, right? I thought it was a good match. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, in comparison to the triple threat match and Cody versus Kevin, there's nothing wrong with being the third best matchup, especially when you have those guys lined up. Liv Morgan and Io Sky, I mean, it was a great matchup. I don't know what else you want me to say about it. Maybe if they had given more time and less commercials, but we can't control the commercial breaks. But I do think that Liv Morgan, Michael Cole said it on commentary, that Liv Morgan should be in consideration for, Women's Wrestler of the Year. She's had a great year. I talked about this on the last live stream where she is probably having her best year in her career, both in character and in ring. Liv Morgan has emerged. She's been a star, but I feel like this revenge tour really put her on the next level, I thought. What's going on, Big Network? Welcome to this live stream. Thank you for joining us. We're just talking about Saturday night's main event. Kevin also says the show feels like a house show and too many commercials. That was also my same sentiment. I thought there were too many commercials for my liking. I thought, I don't know if that was just me, but I felt like there was a lot of commercials in comparison to like a SmackDown or a Raw. The house show feel, I get it because they were trying to go minimalistic and go old school. So in terms of like the feel and the vibe, totally get it. But I do think that the lack of huge moments, we didn't get a championship change with the exception of Chelsea Green being crowned the inaugural champion. We didn't get a big title change. So maybe that's why. Maybe. Liv Morgan, the only Riot Squad member, have been a lot of success. Yeah, Sarah Logan, she's been a part of the War Raiders. I almost called them the Viking Raiders. As Valhalla. Doesn't really get a lot of recognition because she doesn't wrestle. She's more of a valet, more of a manager. Ruby Riott, probably the closest. Because she's been a single star, but her time in AEW, we haven't seen her for quite some time, obviously due to her pregnancy, having a child, and we don't know when she'll be coming back. If she even does decide to come back, maybe she wants to stay home and, take care of her new kid. Nothing wrong with that. But by far, yeah, Liv Morgan, the biggest success story to come out of the Riot Squad. Network says KO should have hit Triple H with the belt. Honestly, I thought about it for a second. I thought he would have. But again, I feel like if we're going kayfabe here, Kevin Owens isn't going to do that because he knows if he hits Triple H, that's, grounds for termination. And I don't know if Kevin Owens wants to necessarily get fired. He wants to get Cody Rhodes back. He wants to ensure that Randy Orton doesn't come back. He has a grudge against these guys. So there is a possibility there. Kevin Owens versus Triple H will not happen because obviously Hunter's medical condition will not allow it. But Kevin Owens, it does add another layer to the story. He has beef with Randy, he has beef with Cody, but now you have beef with the top in Triple H. It'll only be a trickle-down effect to someone like a Nick Aldis. Will he get reprimanded? For sure. For sure, because they were not happy with the Randy Orton attack. What makes you think they're not going to reprimand him for the Cody Rhodes attack? One, he's the WWE Champion. It was following the event. The event was already over. And on top of that, you get physical with Triple H? Yeah. No, they're not going to let that slide. Kervin says, don't tell me Cody versus Owen for the third time. No. I think, honestly, we probably will be going in that direction. Nick took an RKO. Nick Aldis did take an RKO, and Randy Orton was fined for it. And if you remember, Randy Orton even paid him twice, double the amount of the fine, because he said, this is for now, and this is for the next time. So, he still technically has one more on the table for Nick Aldis. To go back really quick, Cody versus Owen, I wouldn't doubt it that they have a third match. If they do, though, that's where it gets kind of shaky for me. Because you can't, if you have Kevin Owens lose 3 straight, that sucks. That sucks for Kevin. Network suggests a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble, maybe. That's a possibility. But again, it all depends on the timetable for Randy Orton. I think Cody will be back before. It is a possibility, though. And it would add, again, a little bit of a change of pace. Because I do think for the third time might be overkill. Because you don't want to see the same match again. I don't want to see Kevin lose 3 times in a row. Now, granted, I don't want Cody to lose the title. But if you have it for the third time, you kind of have to spice it up a bit. So Network makes the suggestion of a triple threat, which could remedy that. That could be the solution. Who would the third guy be? Randy Orton. It'd have to be Randy Orton. But overall, I mean, let's see. Your predictions, who's going to win the men's and women's Rumble? I think Randy's coming back on Netflix Raw. I agree, Network. I do agree. I think that Randy will return. I think either the Netflix Raw or the Rumble. Again, it's got to be one of those. 2 huge shows. Predictions for the Rumble. Ooh, that's a good one. So for the men, because I'm looking at it like this. I struggle to think Cody Rhodes loses the title beforehand, before WrestleMania. I think he goes into the show as the champion. And I think The Rock is a possible opponent. If you've seen the rumors and the reports that Rollins and Punk are going to have a match at the Raw on Netflix debut, kind of eliminates their WrestleMania matchup. I mean, they could still have it, but if they don't, we know that Roman versus Punk is a possibility. So I think that takes them out. We talk about The Rock versus Cody for the title, but at the same time, I don't want The Rock to win the Rumble. I don't think he needs to win the Rumble. So I look at Gunther. I think whoever wins the Rumble. What's up, Sean? Welcome to the live stream. Thank you for stopping by. We're talking Saturday night's main event, but right now we're talking about the Royal Rumble because that's the next big show on the horizon, of course, with the exception of the Raw Netflix debut. I think whoever wins the Rumble is probably going to face Gunther for the title. Now, this leads me to a couple people. Call me crazy, but I think Jey Uso is a possibility to face Gunther. I think Cena is a viable option to face Gunther to break the record. Will they do it? Not sure. Not sure. Network says Cena, Drew, Punk, and Seth is the final 4. A strong final 4. A very strong final 4. If I had to pick from your group there, ooh, it's tough. It's tough. I picked Seth Rollins to challenge Gunther. Possible. Rollins versus Gunther is a possibility. But I'm thinking, okay, what's so cool about this year, there is like an abundance of talent that you can make an argument for. You can make the argument for Cena. You can make an argument for Seth. You can make the argument for Jay. There are some. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna make an argument for Dirty Dom. I don't think he's winning the Rumble, at least not soon. But it's so tough. You think Armageddon pay-per-view should make a comeback? I would love Armageddon to come back. I love the concept of Armageddon. I think if not for a premium live event, certainly something for NXT, because NXT has been bringing back a lot of the classic titles for their events. So I think that would be awesome to bring back Armageddon. Now that the December slot is open, I think that's certainly a possibility. Do you think Cena joins the Hall of Fame? I think so. If not next year, the following year. I don't know if they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame for 2025, given that he's still going to be active, but they allowed Rey Mysterio to go in the Hall of Fame, and he's still active. So I think, if not this year, in 2025, 2026 for sure. If Dirty Dom wins the Rumble, major heat. I mean, it'll be a good amount of heat, but I do like the idea of the briefcase. I think we have a better odds of him winning the briefcase than the Rumble, and especially as a heel, the Money in the Bank concept really benefits those that are heels. Again, to answer the Royal Rumble predictions, Right now, Nia Jax is the champion. I think she's going to be involved with Tiffany Stratton. She's probably going to cash in on her. Liv Morgan still with Rhea Ripley, obviously. So I'm thinking someone. I mean, again, call me crazy. Maybe Io. Maybe Io. They're very high on Io. I'm afraid of someone like Charlotte, to tell you the truth, because I can see them doing Tiffany Stratton winning the matchup, getting Charlotte to win the Rumble and challenge her. So I'm very cautious when it comes to the Women's Royal Rumble, because who would they push? Who are they going to push for that? Because right now, if you ask me, I'm thinking like a Charlotte. I'm thinking Io. I would like Io to win the championship back. But again, that's just me being biased. For the men's, as it stands right now, it's so hard to call. Some people have said that The Rock wins at the Rumble. He beats Cody. And then Roman wins the Rumble to fight The Rock. But where does that leave Cody? Does he fight Randy? Where does that leave Cody? Network says Tiffy gonna cash. He's gonna catch Nia slipping. I agree. They're clearly setting it up. Blonde War at WrestleMania. LOL. I'm afraid that's what they're gonna do. Charlotte versus Tiffany. I'm afraid that's what they're gonna do. For me, Cody puts his WWE title on the Royal Rumble match like 2016. But here's the thing with that. I don't see that happening because they have the world title, Gunther. When they did it in 2016, it was only the WWE title. We didn't have a second, major championship. I don't think that happens. I mean, especially now that he's gotten this injury when it comes to the pile driver. What if Becky wins the Rumble? I did think about that. That's a possibility, but who would she face? Would it be a rematch against Rhea Ripley, assuming she beats Liv Morgan? Maybe she gets a matchup against Liv Morgan, the woman that took her title. Becky Lynch is a great choice. But because me personally, I enjoy giving the nod to someone who hasn't won before. If it was me, I want to be pushing new talent. People who haven't won the Rumble. Because people like Cena, Roman, Punk, Seth, they don't need it. They don't need it. But one, they've already got it. They've already won the Rumble. But they don't need it. If you ask me. Jacob screws Roman at the Rumble. Jacob versus Roman at Mania. I'm down for it. And they certainly have teased it too. They've teased like a couple of interactions between Roman and Jacob Fatu. So what you could do is do Cody versus Rock at WrestleMania. Roman versus Jacob. I'm down for that. For those of you who are joining the live stream, we're just talking about Saturday night's main event, but we've now moved on to the road to WrestleMania because we're getting pretty close now. Just around the corner. Welcome to the live stream. My name's Jose Ramos Jr., where we talk professional wrestling for all fans, new fans and old fans. Fatu eliminating 8 people. I would love it. They put Fatu in the Royal Rumble, call it wraps. Because Fatu is on a mission. I don't think he even cares about winning. Jacob Fatu is the type of guy who just likes to beat people up. Did you guys see, I'm assuming you saw, on Friday Night SmackDown, that spot where during the LA Knight match versus Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu emerges from the back and is like climbing over the announce table, and the way they shot it was just fantastic, and just over the shoulder of LA Knight, and he reemerges with all this energy and then jumps back into the ring and attacks LA Knight, looking like something straight out of a Friday the 13th movie, a la Jason Voorhees. The way they've been building up Jacob Fatu is ridiculous. If he doesn't win a championship soon, it doesn't have to be a world title. But it definitely should be like the U.S. title minimum. What's so special about Jacob Fatu? He's a beast. A man of his size should not be moving the way he does. The springboard moonsault alone is ridiculous. He does this also a maneuver where he jumps up to the top rope, falls down, and like he basically sits on the top rope, so it kind of catapults him into a reverse moonsault. He shouldn't move for a man of his size, but also just the ferocity, the energy that he brings. They have been presenting him as a beast, someone that we haven't seen maybe since like an Umaga, and obviously there's familial ties there. But the presence, man, he got that aura, he got that presence. And now that they're letting him kind of speak more freely, we've seen a couple instances where he's been talking on the mic and sharing promos. I'm waiting for them to give him more opportunities to speak on his own, because Jacob Fatu is that guy. He is that guy, and he dropped a bunch of weight. Like by no means was he out of shape heading into, his WWE debut, but like he got in shape for this role. Ski Mask Jacob hit different. I thought the same thing. When he pulled up in that ski mask, I was like, where the hell has this Jacob been? Like, that's wild. Ski Mask Jacob. If you think he's a menace now, I see better over Jacob Fatu. Hey, I'd love to know who. Because by no means am I saying Jacob Fatu is the greatest wrestler of all time. But it's just a breath of fresh air. I'm not saying Jacob Fatu is the GOAT. But he certainly should be given his props for the level of energy that he's injected into Solo Sikoa's bloodline. Because there were times there where Solo he's a leader. And Jacob Fatu is taking the limelight. He's taking up all the focus. He's the flashy guy, Not trying to be the flashy guy, but because of his presence, he's taken away from Solo Sikoa. Jacob toned up, facts. Yeah, and I mean, good for him. Number one, because of his health, but also because, again, the presentation. You're on the WWE. We talked about this in the last stream, where it's a big production company. It's very much into the visual aesthetics. So you want to look your best, For today's wrestling, Fatu is money. He's an anomaly. He's the next wave of the Samoan dynasty. You saw the next wave when you had guys like Peter Maivia. You had the Wild Samoans. Then you had Yokozuna, right? The Rock, Rikishi, Umaga. It just evolved, and now Jacob Fatu is the next wave of evolution. Your predictions: who's going to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship? This is a good one. When the tournament was first announced, I thought I could see them giving it to someone like Natty. Natalya has been there, seasoned veteran, someone that has earned her keep. But now I don't think so. I'm thinking Lyra Valkyria. I think Lyra Valkyria gets the nod. She has been called up to NXT. She's been there for now a little under a year, with the WWE's main roster. I can see her getting the nod. I like Dakota Kai. They kind of gave her a little bit of a push there, giving her her own package, her own little segment, and trying to highlight her. But I could see Lyra Valkyria being the first ever Intercontinental Champion. And I'm for it. They're kind of trying to present her as a bigger deal than what we're used to. And there was a time being there where she had a great run in the Queen of the Ring tournament. But I mean, I would like to see that. I would give the belt to the girl with Liv. Raquel Rodriguez, you could. You could do that. You said somebody new, but you mentioned Natalya. I mean, ideally, I think you should go with someone new. That's me. I think they should give it to someone new and push new talent. That's why I say Lyra Valkyria. But I could see them giving it to Natalya. That's not me saying, oh, give it to someone new, Natalya. No. I think you should give it to someone new. That's why I'm saying Lyra Valkyria. But with the WWE, I could see them giving it to Natty when the championship was first introduced, before we got to see the bracket. That was my thought process. But you're asking me now, my prediction's Lyra. I would say Lyra Valkyria. Network says Naomi attacked Jade. When the attack happened, I was of the mindset of two people. Naomi or Bianca. Now, call me crazy because Bianca's her tag team partner, but we've seen it time and time again where tag team partners turn on one another because of jealousy, and that was hinted at because of the comments that Liv Morgan made towards Bianca and Jade Cargill when they were in Saudi. So part of me thought maybe Bianca. Over time, I'm siding with Naomi. Who's the one that has gotten clearly the most to gain? You know, Naomi was a premier talent in the WWE, made a huge return at the Royal Rumble, but who made their debut? Stealing the thunder, Jade Cargill. Who's the tag team champions right now? Bianca and Jade. With Jade out of the picture, we knew there was a possibility that the tag team titles would have to be vacated, or they can follow the precedent that they set in 2022 when Chelsea Green's partner Sonya Deville went out. They filled someone in, Piper Niven. So they're doing that with Naomi, it seems. That Naomi's going to fill in for her and be the new champion alongside Bianca. Is it too obvious? Maybe. But it makes sense. So I would think Naomi. Yeah, they could do the Triple H versus Shawn 2002 script, 100% network, 100%. The only thing with that is they're kind of saying that the attack happened during the matchup. So the only way it would make sense if it was during the matchup is if Bianca had hired someone to do it. If they want to go the route that it happened during the matchup. But I think it was Naomi. Sylvia says, are they ever going to do something with Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six? I was excited when they started hinting they were coming back, and I feel they are not getting any TV time. No, I'm with you. So that debut of the Wyatt Six, when they had emerged from the back and attacked everybody. They basically killed Chad Gable there. It looked like they shot him in the head. It was monumental. It was huge. It was something different. We haven't seen that type of a presentation in quite some time, if not ever. So there was a lot of hype and expectations for the group. And a lot of emotional investment as well because of Bray Wyatt, because of the story of Bo Dallas and, obviously known as Taylor Rotunda in real life. And there was a little moment there where they had the feud with Chad Gable and his group. But to see him now in a place where they're feuding with the Final Testament, we don't see them a lot on TV. I agree. But I think it's because of the 2-hour runtime. Raw is traditionally 3 hours. It has been for the last decade. They moved it back to 2 hours, and now they're preparing for Netflix. And I'm thinking they're probably going to go back to 3 hours just because there's a little bit more liberties there when it comes to runtime. So I'm hoping that in 2025 we're going to get more Wyatt Six. But it's also a careful balance here. You don't want to oversaturate. The Wyatt Six are an attraction. They are a supernatural gimmick, or at least are presented as such. So you don't want to oversaturate it and do it too much. I do agree, though, that I would like to see them a little more, especially in ring. So give it time. All I can suggest is, hey, we got to be patient, see where they're going with this Final Testament storyline. I do think that Karrion Kross and company needed that win. I was surprised they went that route. I thought the Wyatts were going to win, but they gave the win to Karrion Kross in the Final Testament, who needed it. Because when was the last time they had a meaningful victory on TV? I think ultimately we'll get a rematch, maybe a one-on-one contest between Karrion and Uncle Howdy, where I think Uncle Howdy would win, but everything in due time. But I do hear you, and I do agree with you. Since that debut, it hasn't really built up a lot of momentum. It's been stagnant. So hopefully soon that changes. I picked Bianca to win the Rumble again because last Rumble she won, but no fans in the arena. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. But here's what I would suggest. Bianca wins the Rumble. Where does this leave her with the tag team titles? Where does this leave her with Naomi or Jade Cargill? You could make the argument Naomi attacked Jade Cargill, so they're going to go do their thing, and that opens up Bianca Belair's door for a championship opportunity. If they go that route, I'm cool with it. But again, there's nothing, we can't leave anything off the table. Maybe Bianca was a part of the attack, and this leads to a Jade Cargill versus Bianca matchup at WrestleMania. It's a possibility. We can't leave anything off the table yet. But Bianca winning the Rumble, I'm cool with it. I'm a fan of Bianca, and I do agree won the Royal Rumble without anyone in attendance. So, and she's in a spot here too where I think people wouldn't mind it. And who would she face? Tiffany? Because Tiffany we know is going to cash in. She's going to be the champion going into WrestleMania. So Tiffany against Bianca, that sounds like an intriguing matchup to me. I would like to see that. And then Bianca, I believe, is 4-0 at WrestleMania. She has an undefeated streak on her hands. Because she won her debut at WrestleMania 37 against Sasha Banks. At WrestleMania 38, she beat Becky. 39, she beat Asuka. This past one, she won the 6 women's tag matchup with Naomi and Jade. So she's 4-0. Can she make it 5? Network thinks that Strowman's getting the U.S. belt in 2025. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'm fine with that. But it has to be under the right circumstances. And what I mean by that is LA Knight won the championship because he was rewarded for that push and the way he got over in the last year and a half. Awesome. LA Knight's a star. I hope he moves on to the main event scene fairly soon. Shinsuke's got the title now. So hopefully that adds to momentum to the title while also giving Nakamura some momentum of his own. Maybe Strowman beats Nakamura. They had a feud over the Intercontinental title in the past. I think it's a possibility. Does he need it? I don't think he needs it. A guy like Strowman is an attraction just because of his size. He's huge. Doesn't need it. Doesn't mean he doesn't get it, though. The U.S. title is something to watch out for because SmackDown has been cooking when it comes to the mid-card. LA Knight, Nakamura's back. Obviously, Andrade and Carmelo Hayes are still involved. I think eventually Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are going to break up, so that's 2 more to the mid-card. Santos Escobar, he's been a part of it as well. So, curious to see. I'm not really hyped for Jade versus Bianca, but Rhea versus Bianca, hell yeah. Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is the money match. That's the match, that we are going to have to wait and see. That's 2 of the biggest women's stars in the WWE, if not pro wrestling. That's the money matchup. That's your Cody Roman. That's your 2 main stars. When they decide to pull the trigger on Rhea versus Bianca, that could main event WrestleMania. The star power alone is ridiculous. I'm starting to get goosebumps thinking about that. Because those 2 have defined this current era of wrestling. For women, specifically. We had the 4 horsewomen. That little phase in NXT and the main roster. But since NXT like 2019 to nowadays, Rhea and Bianca have been on a collision course. Much like how a Batista and John Cena were on a collision course. They both came in at 2002. Granted, it was 2000 in OVW, but they were on a collision course. So at WrestleMania 21, they both won their championships, and from there on, they were linked. That's definitely something I would love to see. And it should be a main event of WrestleMania. Network says he destroyed Melo in 5 minutes. LOL, Melo's been a star all year. Yeah, no, Strowman's victory over Melo, it makes sense. Strowman makes a huge return, and Melo didn't know who he was facing. He had the disadvantage. So granted, he should lose that matchup against Strowman. But I think a guy like Carmelo Hayes is destined to be a champion in the WWE. He's a guy that I think will win the U.S. title in 2025. Now, maybe he drops it to Strowman. Maybe he beats Strowman. I don't know. But Carmelo Hayes is destined for great things in the WWE. They'd be silly not to. Has the look, has the talent, has the charisma. I would love to see Carmelo Hayes succeed. But yeah, him losing, that was a shame. But it's fine. It makes sense. Do they send Rhea to SmackDown with Priest in the shakeup? I can't see them moving Rhea. I feel like Monday Night Raw is going to want to have a lot of stars because of Netflix. I don't see Rhea moving. Damian, maybe. Maybe they move Damian. But I don't see Rhea leaving Raw. If they do that, I'd be really surprised. Because I just think they want to load up as much talent to be reasonable, that is. So, I don't see them moving Rhea. Under Triple H, Santos Escobar, ice cold. This is ridiculous. He has fallen off. I like Santos. I'm a fan of him, but he hasn't been the same ever since the whole LWO storyline. He hasn't been the same. I would like to see him back in like his NXT form with Delgado de Fantasma, and just that presentation alone as well. NXT Santos was cool. So, I agree though. He has kind of fallen off under Triple H. Hopefully that changes. I'm hoping that the way they approach this is kind of like a revolving door where everyone kind of gets shine. You know, maybe Santos gets a push for the US title. I think that'd be cool. We need to get Chad Gable versus Otis. I agree. But I feel like that's something they're going to build off of. Because it felt so abrupt, didn't it? Chad and Otis, I thought we were going to get that like at SummerSlam. And we didn't. I thought we were going to get it on a Monday Night Raw leading up to like, you know, a PLE. Because they kind of like to load up these Raws and SmackDowns that take place around the premium live events. And we just never got it. We never got Gable versus Otis, which I thought was interesting. So I'm hoping we revisit that and we pay it off. Maybe it takes time, but I do agree. We need to get that payoff. Is Cody coming to Raw? I could see that. I could see him going to Raw. I could see Gunther moving to SmackDown and being the top heel there. Because I think there's reports saying they want the Bloodline stuff on Raw. But if you put the Bloodline stuff on Raw, you put Rhea and Cody on Raw, it's like, we're going to go back to SmackDown, I think in 2002, where it's like you had a lot of like the younger guys, you know, or maybe not younger guys, but underutilized guys. That's where like the SmackDown 6 came from. The biggest stars in SmackDown in 2002 were like your Undertakers and your Kurt Angles. Brock was a huge star, but he was still really young and they were developing him. So that might be where we're going in 2025 because Cody, I think, ends up on Raw. Andrade and Santos way. I mean, are you saying that that Andrade's presence on the roster kind of takes away from Santos? Because I mean, I get it. I'm a fan of both. And again, it's like I want to see everyone succeed, but it's tough. You can't have everybody at the top. You got to fill out your mid card. What happens to Giovanni Vinci? What happens to Giovanni Vinci? The real question is what happened. I think he's had like 2 or 3 matches on SmackDown. And one of them, of course, was like done in seconds. It's just so fascinating what happened with Vinci. He was a part of Imperium, you know, a 3-man group with Gunther and Kaiser. And then Kaiser jumps him, basically kicks him out of the group. We don't see him for months. And he returns on SmackDown. But now it's like, what do you do with him? He's just sitting around and catering. You might as well put him back in NXT. I don't know. The Vinci stuff is weird. Major moves coming, I think. I think Gunther moves to SmackDown. I do think that Gunther and Cody move. We even saw a little bit of a preview there. Gunther was talking to Nick Aldis. Adam Pearce was talking to Cody on one episode of Raw. So I do think that they get I think they have a swap there. I do agree with that. They're similar, plus Rey is still there. Okay, I hear what you're saying about Andrade and Santos. They do have similarities. It doesn't help either that it seems like all the Hispanics have been like grouped up in the LWO or Legado del Fantasma. It's like they're all grouped together. So you're bound to have crossover. So I do hear you. In that sense, yes. Andrade and Santos, yeah, they kind of take away from each other. Which is why I think it's important to have on separate brands. Otherwise, they take a spot away from each other. Move one to Raw, keep one on SmackDown. That's probably your best bet. That's why they moved the LWO to Raw and kept Fantasma on SmackDown. Geo equals TNA LOL. I wouldn't doubt it. Gio lost to Cruz, who got slapped by Fatu. No, I'm telling you, the Gio Vinci stuff is crazy. You know something? Imperium never won the tag team champions on the main roster. They never did. They never did, and that's really. I don't know if it was just me, but I thought it was very premature to end Imperium on the main roster. They were only together for what was it, like a year and a half maybe? Because it was September 2022 when Vinci came across at Clash at the Castle. And then the breakup happened, what was it? This year for sure. But I forget what month. It was this year. They never did win the titles in the main roster. Andrade going to Raw versus Braun Breaker. That would be nice. Braun versus Andrade would be fire. What was your favorite era to watch wrestling? I'm very particular to the Ruthless Aggression era because that's where like I grew up as a fan. I started watching wrestling when I was very young. I have memories of watching it as a young kid. My family would tell me that I was watching it like at 2. It was The Rock in the year 2000. Obviously, my memory is not as strong then because I'm 2 years old, but I can go back to 2003 and seeing guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, a young John Cena, The Undertaker when he was still on the bike. I have very fond memories of the Ruthless Aggression era. Obviously, I think the Attitude Era is the way to go because so many stars, so many stories, but I'm very fond of the Ruthless Aggression era. Joe Hendry signs to WWE, put him on SmackDown ASAP. Listen, Joe Hendry's great, but I feel like they'll put him on NXT. He already has that established presence on NXT. I think they start him on NXT. I think they move him to SmackDown. I don't think he's in NXT for long. But I do see them kind of slowly, introduce him through NXT, get him over with that crowd. Because who's to say that the WWE crowd, the main roster crowd, is as familiar as NXT? Maybe they are. I don't know, but we can't assume that. But I think he goes NXT and then jumps to SmackDown. If you have the power to change one WrestleMania match ending, any match, what is it going to be? Oh, that's too good. To change one WrestleMania match ending. So I'm going to look at it from the sense of the matchup because one of my first instances is like when they turned Austin heel at WrestleMania 17, veto that. Having him side with McMahon, I do not agree with. That's one, but that was after the match. If we're talking a match ending, I wouldn't have ended the streak. I wouldn't have Brock beat Taker. I wanted Taker to go perfect at WrestleMania. Or even then, if someone was going to beat the streak, I didn't want them to, but if someone was going to beat the streak, have it be someone on the come up. Think about it. If Roman had beaten the streak, and that's when they chose to turn him heel, nuclear. The way they booed him the night after WrestleMania 33 when he beat Taker, it wasn't for the streak, but he beat Taker. Nuclear heat. Lesnar, I didn't think needed it. Did he benefit from it? Absolutely. It put him onto the rise to the WWE Championship run that he had. I would not have beaten the streak. Okay, so you're saying one WrestleMania match and then ending? So, again, for the ending, definitely what I just said, the streak. But I do agree Sting versus Taker is better than Triple H. I agree with that. Benoit versus Kurt were classics. I agree. Royal Rumble 2003, fantastic matchup between the two. Easily changing Undertaker versus Brock WrestleMania 30. We agree. 100%. I don't think they should have ended the streak. Network says Joe is a star, big money. I mean, dude, he got over like crazy. An internet sensation, if you will. Joe's bigger than Trick right now. Damn it. Damn it, I think you're right. And I love Trick Williams, but I think you're right. For me, WrestleMania 19, Booker T versus Triple H, still... Yeah, no, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. I mean, there's really a bunch of them if you think about it. If we thought about it hard enough, There are plenty of answers. But I do think Booker T going over should have been. Booker T should have went over. The way they build that match up just to have him lose, that's ridiculous. And Triple H would have won the title back eventually. He didn't need to win that match. He would have won the title back. We know that. When that song hits at the Rumble, I hope so. I hope so, because like the last thing you want is for someone to debut or return, in this case a debut. You don't want crickets. You don't want people to not know who he is. But Joe Hendry is over to the point where, yeah, it would work, I think. Because they could do that. Have him appear in the Rumble. I still think he'll be relegated to NXT and then eventually integrated to the main roster. But appearance at the Rumble would be awesome. I kind of want to see more involvement from TNA. In NXT at least. I don't think they're going to do main roster crossover. But I do think for sure. Miz and Maurice versus Cena and Nikki Bella. Hear me out. Okay, hear me out. Two things about that matchup. Cena and Nikki, they get the win over Miz and Maurice. And then Cena proposes to Nikki. That's crazy in itself because look where they're at now. They're not even together. But I think the Miz and Maurice should have won that matchup. I agree. I think Miz and Maurice win the matchup because the Miz was doing quality work on SmackDown at that time. You know, this was fresh off of the Talking Smack promo. He was winning the Intercontinental Championship. He beats Cena and Nikki. They get their moment. And then a dejected Cena and Nikki Bella are in the ring. Oh, we just lost at Mania. Oh, this sucks. Then if you really wanted to, then you could do the angle of him proposing to Nikki Bella. But they won and got engaged. I think you go the WrestleMania 7 route. Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior. Savage lost. But then at the end of it, him and Miss Elizabeth come together. They reconcile. So yes, he lost the match. But he won back the love of Miss Elizabeth. That's what they should have done at WrestleMania 3. Or 33. Miz and Maurice win the match. Cena and Nikki lose. But then, if you have to do the proposal gimmick, which I guess was a shoot, then you do it because they lose the match, but they win each other's hearts. Joe beating Dolph for the TNA title. Well, Joe Hendry is the number one contender. He just won the four-way to be the number one contender. You know, outlasting three others at Final Resolution. So he is in line, I believe, at Genesis to have a title match against Nick Nemeth, yes. And that's interesting because I don't know the contract details for Joe Hendry. I'm not sure when it expires. Last time I heard, it expires in 2025. If that expires, he's going to NXT. I can't see him not going to WWE. He's already over. He's already established. It's the biggest promotion in the world. Why wouldn't he jump over to WWE? But if his contract isn't expiring, then yes, he's winning the title. 100%. WrestleMania 3, Iron Sheik and... Now you're trolling. Iron Sheik, man. Rest in peace. Nikolai Volkov. Their short tag team there. And the Killer Bees. Brian Blair. Was it Jumping Jim Brunzell? Kevin, I missed Saturday Night Live. You missed the show, Kevin. Are you saying like the show Saturday Night's Main Event? Or are you talking about the live here? Joe versus heel Cody 2026. Can't wait. That would be interesting. But I don't know if they turn Cody heel. First of all, welcome to the live stream, Kevin. I didn't get to welcome you. Glad to see you in this live stream. We're talking about really a little bit of everything, honestly. We talked about Joe and heel Cody. I don't know if they turn Cody. I could definitely see him, pulling that John Cena and doesn't turn heel. Because he brings a lot of revenue to the company. He brings a lot of revenue to just the attendance. Like, he's the top babyface. But I will say, they are in a place here where there's a lot of baby faces that could be making money. Jey Uso, CM Punk, Roman. They could turn him heel. So I retract my statement. Currently playing 2K24. That's what's up. That's what's up. Who's your favorite guy to use? Who's your favorite to use in 2K24? I missed this show. It was a good show. I would have had Booker T beat Triple H at Mania. I agree. It was egregious. It's a shame. He better not be Cena 2.0. I don't think we're going to go full-fledged, Super Cena. At least I hope not. But I mean in terms of the face of the company. Cody as a heel would be a real nightmare. Cody as a heel would be crazy, though. Especially because he wears the suit, so he could become like this condescending heel who is just degrading a lot of the baby faces and thinks he's better than everybody. Heel Cody has a lot of potential. Joe got blonde hair too, damn it. Joe Hendry, I think, is definitely going to be a mainstay in WWE. If his contract is expiring soon, he'll be there soon. Heel Cody is ruthless. Yeah, especially watching like BTE. Those BTE segments with the heel Cody was fantastic. We're at a peak here in terms of viewership. This is the most we've had in quite some time. Welcome to the live stream, guys. If you're new to the live stream, my name's Jose Ramos Jr. We're talking professional wrestling here for all pro wrestling fans, both old, new, and we're just vibing. Submitting comments and questions in the chat. Obviously, on the heels of a Saturday night's main event, which had a monumental ending off the air, where Cody Rhodes was attacked by Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens even got physical with Triple H. So welcome to the live stream, guys. Joe with that guitar, I was going crazy. Joe, I mean, okay. Joe Hendry could. He honestly could. But I don't want them to overdo it. And especially early. I want Powerhouse Hobbs in WWE. Imagine that. Hobbs is not going anywhere. He's an AEW guy. But him versus like an Obafemi? The powerhouse there? Wow. Holy hell. Was the Wing Championship introduced? It was. Cody Rhodes came out to the wing with the Winged Eagle title around his waist. The beautiful Winged Eagle Championship. The one, of course, that's right here. If I could point at it. There we go. He did introduce it. They're saying it was one night only. I wish it was here to stay. But, no, it was glorious. Shout out Bobby Roode. And Kevin Owens even left with the title. Kevin Owens didn't win the championship, but he left the arena seemingly with the championship. Imagine if Rey Mysterio was a heel and Eddie Guerrero was a babyface back in 2005 feud. That would be crazy. I can't see Rey as a heel, though. Rey Mysterio was a babyface. Rey Mysterio is one of those guys where he can never be booed. The only time he was ever booed, it wasn't even his fault. But imagine how that would have went if the roles were reversed. Eddie was such a damn good heel, though. He could do it all. Babyface, heel, technician, high flyer. Network says if they don't give Hobbs the AEW belt, it's a waste. Here's my problem with AEW. You have so many like homegrown talent that you're not pushing. Like, look at the stuff with Ricky Starks. Pentagon and Phoenix may not be homegrown, but it's like, what the hell's going on over there? Where they couldn't find a role or a story for these guys. And these are some of your mainstays. The Lucha Brothers were one of the first teams on Dynamite. Ricky Starks, granted, he wasn't there since the beginning. But it's like, what are they doing over there? Hobbs, I mean, young, has the potential, has a hell of a t-shirt, if you remember that. Kev says, I'll take that. Yeah, he straight up finessed the title. I'm hoping he finesses the title and just carries it around. That'd be awesome. Ray could never be a heel. Facts. He couldn't. I mean, the only time he was, I think, was like the Filthy Animals in WCW. But even then, he wasn't a real heel. He was like a cool heel. In SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, Road to WrestleMania, they made a heel Rey Mysterio alternate universe type of story. I remember that. I remember playing that, and I just thought, this isn't right. This is weird. WWE is going to sign those Lucha guys. Yeah, I mean, 100%. We know that the Lucha Brothers are headed towards WWE. It's just a matter of when. Everyone wants to go to the big show, not Paul White. They want to go to the big promotion, the WWE. So it's not a matter of if they go, it's when. And when is Tony Khan going to let Phoenix off of his contract? I don't think he's going to last the whole year with this extension due to his injury time. Because the more they drag it out, the uglier it's going to get. Just let him go, Tony. If you're not going to use them, just let them go. They don't want to be there. You're not going to use them. What's the point? What's y'all's favorite road to WrestleMania? If we're talking the game, what I thought was interesting, I grew up a huge fan of like the Undertaker storylines. So they had this one story, I believe it was 2011, where you got to choose someone to beat the streak. And I really love that storyline. I think I used Kofi Kingston to beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. And I remember just having so much. It was difficult to beat him, but man, I was like on a mission to beat the streak. That one really sticks out in my memory. Lucha Brothers versus Javon Evans and a partner. Nuts. No Diddy. That would be crazy. The Lucha Brothers on WWE, I don't know if they go towards NXT, but them against Javon Evans and like who would be a good partner? I would have said Wesley, but they're in a feud together. What about the Lucha Brothers versus Fraxium? You know, Nathan Fraser and Axiom. That'd be kind of cool. The high octane offense, the high flying. To see Lucha Brothers against them, that's something I would love to see. Javon Evans, though, is a good pick, though. It's just a matter of who is his partner. The Druid Battle Royal was scary. I remember that. The lighting and just the presentation of the Druid Battle Royal, it was weird. It was out there. They were trying something different, but I'll give them credit for that. The Rock versus Austin 2, Road to WrestleMania was Oscar worthy. Oh, see, now we're going that route. If we're going that route, we're talking on screen. Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 17, solid pick. Solid pick. But you know which one for me is very tough to top? WrestleMania 26. Yes, I'm biased because I went to that show. But to see the level of stress and anxiety that Shawn Michaels had in his pursuit to beat the dead man, I mean, Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker may not be considered one of the greatest rivalries of all time, but their matches are up there. Bad Blood, the first Hell in a Cell match. Classic. WrestleMania 25. Classic. WrestleMania 26. Classic. Their interaction at the Royal Rumble in 2007 as the final two. One of the best final twos in the Royal Rumble's history. That build-up, seeing Shawn becoming increasingly more desperate to beat The Undertaker, to the point where he says, if I can't beat you, I have no career. That build-up I thought was fantastic. For me. That's my pick. NXT, best looking women. They have the best women's division. I mean, hey, let's be real. I have to agree with you. Best looking women's division. But it also helps that these ladies can go. You know, we're talking about my personal favorite, Stephanie Vaquer, who I think is phenomenal, both in and out of the ring. Julia is great. Roxanne Perez, I think, has really an argument to be made that she was the number one women's wrestler in the WWE. 100% agree with you. Shawn was psycho. Hell yeah, he was. When he screwed Taker at Elimination Chamber, I lost it. It's never been done before. You know, you see guys trying to get out of the Elimination Chamber. Shawn went into it to cost The Undertaker the matchup. Shawn wasn't able to win the Royal Rumble because The Undertaker was the world champion. So his mission was to win the Rumble and challenge. Could not do it. And the level of disappointment after being eliminated, he attacks a referee, and we see this descent into madness with Shawn Michaels. Doesn't have a world championship match because he lost the Royal Rumble. So what does he do? He goes into the Elimination Chamber and costs the dead man his world title. So now Taker doesn't have the world championship. But he knows he's going to want his revenge against Shawn. It's awesome. My favorite Taker Mania match is versus Edge, WrestleMania 24, the main event. Solid choice. Excellent choice. Edge's first real shot at the main event. He had a little bit of stint there in 2006 and 2007, but that match against The Undertaker, I think, solidified him because he was on the main event scene when it came to WrestleMania 24. Solid matchup. Mine, again, is a toss-up between 25 and 26, either with Sean. Favorite WWE game? I'm very partial. It depends on the day. But I'm in between the SmackDown vs. Raw, the original SmackDown vs. Raw that was released in 2004, and then the SmackDown vs. Raw in 2007. Those are the two that I really enjoy for nostalgic purposes. I did like WWE 13 because of the extensive roster when it came to the Attitude Era. So that one's a really cool one, I think. Anybody else want to share their favorite WWE video game or just pro wrestling video game? Here Comes the Pain is a good answer. Shawn versus Jericho was Oscar worthy too. Shake my head. Yeah. And it's like both iterations. The 2003 feud leading up to WrestleMania 19, and even if you want to include their 2008 feud, where it spanned from the Great American Bash in 2008 all the way to No Mercy 2008. Which, I mean, you could make the argument that it really starts at WrestleMania 24 when Shawn retires Ric Flair. You can make the argument that's when the Jericho feud starts and then leads into the fall for No Mercy 2008. But that's another great one. Edge was on Taker's neck, almost beat Mark. Yeah. I don't know if it's true, but I think I read somewhere that there was rumors that Edge was in line to beat the streak. There's been multiple guys who've been in line to beat the streak. I mean, we know like a guy like Randy Orton, Kurt Angle. I think Edge was on that list and he declined. This is something I read. I don't know if it's fact, but big on Edge for saying, hey, I'm not going to be beating the streak. Crush Hour goated. Crush Hour was a crazy game. It feels like a fever dream, but I remember playing it, loving Crush Hour, seeing the wrestlers driving like a demolition derby type of a game. So I thought that was really cool. Crush Hour underrated, I think. Currently playing 2K24 Universe mode, playing as Randy. It's funny because I changed the setting and had the Heavyweight Championship as the default belt for nostalgia purposes. I agree. Sometimes I try to play Universe mode, but I can't keep up with the Universe because I like to just do my own thing and like play random matches. But a lot of times I will change the championships to whatever was the championship during the mid-2000s. So the WWE title, usually I'll go Undisputed title or the Winged Eagle right here. The World Championship, I'll always go back to the Big Gold, the old school Intercontinental, US. Rarely do I ever use modern championships. Jericho versus Rock for the WCW title. Build-up was epic too, and they had those guys teaming up. You know, they were partners for a time being there, but then they were obviously holding a grudge against each other. Had a couple matches for the WCW title. The best holders for the heavyweight title, Taker and Batista. Yeah. Their feud in 2007, ridiculous. Their feud in 2007, I don't think gets talked about enough, quite frankly. Because they had matches. They had the tag team match at No Way Out against Shawn and Cena. They had a great WrestleMania matchup. They had a great Last Man Standing match, a solid steel cage match, another Hell in a Cell matchup, and then a triple threat match that saw Edge win the title to cap it off. Those guys carried SmackDown in 2007. If we're talking about the heavyweight title in the WWE era, it's hard to find someone better than those two in terms of that. The one-man concerto hit different too. Yeah. Yep. The concerto, man. We don't see the concerto anymore. My Mount Rushmore are Jericho, Rock, Angle, and Orton. A solid list. Solid list. All greats. All have an argument of being considered some of the greatest of all time. What are some of your guys' Mount Rushmores in pro wrestling? Kevin shared his. I'd like to hear your guys'. I shared mine in the previous stream I took the approach of like in terms of influence on the business and not personal bias. So I was saying guys like Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and the last one was interchangeable because I was thinking of guys like Ric Flair, I was thinking of guys like Bruno and The Undertaker. The first three are solidified. That fourth one, it changes. But for me, my Mount Rushmore, my four, for me personally, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, CM Punk, The Rock. Those are my four. Chris Benoit beat Triple H and Shawn at WrestleMania 20. And it's a great matchup, a great moment to end. But, we don't get to talk about it because of the Benoit tragedy. What happened in 2007. Sad. It's sad, but it's a sad truth. Which title is more iconic, the Winged Eagle or the Blue Eagle? I think the Winged Eagle. I like the Blue Eagle, the big blue title from the Attitude Era. But I think the Winged Eagle, look at the championships. Both had great champions, don't get me wrong. But I think the Winged Eagle is just like the perfect championship for a WWE title. I still think the big gold belt, the World Heavyweight Championship, that is the title. But this title's great. Benoit's run started with his aggression with Kurt, Eddie, and JBL. Again, those guys carried 2003 to 2005-06. 4 not bad. Thank you. Jericho, because he has been a part of 3 decades, solid, with great gimmicks. Well, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, you could argue 4. You can argue 4 decades. Rock, because of star power, it goes without saying. Angle, because of technician style, again, goes without saying. Or because of holistically has it all. 100%. They talk about how if you're going to build a pro wrestler from the ground up, Randy Orton is that guy. So, again, solid list. Jericho's been my guy since ECW. Lionheart, Lion Tamer in school, suspension. You did the Lion Tamer in school? Or were you just saying that? Because I can't imagine someone pulling a Lion Tamer out in the middle of lunch. My Mount Rushmore, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love. That's crazy though. Honestly, the fact that he was able to have 4 different gimmicks. Now, granted, Mick Foley is the man, the myth, the legend. But he wrestled as all 4. And that Royal Rumble appearance, iconic. But for real though, Eddie, Shawn, Angle, and The Undertaker. It's a great list. Eddie Guerrero, all around. Just Eddie and Shawn, I think, are cut from the same cloth. They can do everything. 2 of the greatest of all time. Angle, again, we talked about it, of technician style, but he got it. He took to it like a fish in water. It just made sense for him and it clicked. The Undertaker, just the GOAT. Great list. Cactus Jack hit different. Agreed. We had ladder matches in the middle school. Emergency room trips. LOL. Jesus. Jeff Hardy had us going crazy. Facts. The Hardy Boys were definitely a big influence on a lot of us. I know for us, my brother and I took a lot of influence from Matt and Jeff Hardy. Luckily, we didn't get too hurt. But yeah, definitely. Real grabs. Damn straight. Travis Scott needs to give my guy Mick Foley some money for using the Cactus Jack brand. Isn't that crazy too? Because we saw recently that Triple H made an appearance at a concert with Travis Scott and gifted him a updated version of the hardcore title because of Cactus Jack. But I do agree, Mick Foley should be seeing some residuals in the mail for the use of the name Cactus Jack. 3D. Rhino, Gord, Jericho. 3D in reference to the Dudley Boys, who I think one of the greatest tag teams of all time, literally have done it all. WCW champions, ECW champions, WWF champions, World Tag champions, TNA, New Japan, done it all. Ridiculous. What team can say they've done that? Rhino Gore Jericho through the SmackDown screen. That's right. An iconic spot here. That when he had speared, or rather gored Jericho, there's a difference between a gore and a spear. When he gored him through the SmackDown screen, it's what reintroduced, or I should say introduced, the new setting of SmackDown. It's when we got the fist SmackDown set, which I think is the best set of all time. Bubba Ray put a 7-year-old woman through a table. We just talked about that on the last live stream too. Honestly, iconic. Mae Young, a legend for going through that table. All-time legendary moment for her. 3D had a great return. I was hyped. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. The Dudley Boys, one of the greatest of all time. We saw them recently on NXT TV when they were on the NXT ECW episode. Just two of the greatest of all time. And I will say, if you haven't, I mean, I'm assuming you guys have seen Busted Open. I feel like a lot of us are very like-minded in our consumption of pro wrestling. Bully Ray, I think, has a great mind for pro wrestling. It doesn't get talked about enough. I love hearing his takes on what's going on in both WWE and AEW. So I got to give credit to Bully Ray there. Everyone talks about Mount Rushmore of single stars, but what about tag teams? The tag teams, that's a good one. I think, again, if I'm going personal, I don't want to go personal because I want to, encompass a lot of the classic tag teams. So LOD, I think, go there. I think the Dudleys go there. Now I'm in like deep thought. The LOD, the Dudleys. I kind of want to say that Hart Foundation. It's tough. It's tough. You'd have to give me time on that. But I think probably for me personally, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, those are my top three for sure. And then as for the fourth, me personally, I'd probably go Los Guerreros. Me personally. Did you see Tommy Ball? I haven't, dude. It's only been a day. Your boy's been working. But I promise you, I will see it by the time we get to Monday's live stream following the Monday Night Raw episode. By then, I will have watched it. I'm sorry, I don't want to let you down, Kevin, but I'll get to it. I promise you. It's only been a day. Cut me some slack. Monday's live stream, I'm going to make a mission to make sure I've seen it by then. Heel Drew is the best Drew. No more fake Highlander with the sword. Dude, what do you remember when he had cut the ring? Or not the ring rope. He had used it to like chop down the ring rope. I think that was at WrestleMania, if I'm not wrong. WrestleMania 38? That's ridiculous. I'm weak. Facts. 3MB Drew would like to have a word with you. 3MB, man, what, again, a fever dream. To remember Drew McIntyre was a member of 3MB. And then they had a whole feud between Drew and Jinder years later. Crazy. And you want to talk about long-term storytelling. Dudley Boys, Road Warriors, Hardys, Edge and Christian, Harlem Heat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, you just named top 5. We're trying to go to 4. But a solid list. I forgot Harlem Heat. How could I forget Harlem Heat? Because I'm thinking WWE, guys. But WCW, Harlem Heat, legends in their own right. Stevie Ray, Booker T. All-time great team. But yeah, overall, Tommy Ball, I owe that to you. Kevin. For Monday's stream, we'll be there. I'll have watched it by then. As a matter of fact, after this stream ends, I'm going to go ahead and save the episode. That way I can actually have incentive to watch it. Because I owe that to you. WCW made the Road Warriors hot. Not wrong. They were, and you know what? it shouldn't even be an argument. Their run in WCW was better than WWE. I feel like the WWE helped them get over mainstream, but yeah, exactly. They got them late in age. I agree. DX, Dudley's, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. Great list. But it's tough for me with DX because I look at those guys as like singles, as single stars. But I mean, still, solid list. That's a solid list. We're going to start wrapping up just a little bit here on tonight's live stream. It's been a real fun time. Real great talking to you guys about Saturday night's main event. We talked about some of our favorite tag teams. We talked about Mount Rushmores. Shared some stories in regards to getting suspended for lion tamers and ladder matches apparently Network was having in middle school and high school. We saw a good amount of people join the live stream today. A lot of activity in the chat and a lot of viewership participating here on the live stream. Of course, we do our live streams every Monday night, every Friday night, and I'm thinking about implementing it more. You know, obviously we do them when there's a big show like a premium live event or a Saturday night's main event for tonight. But I'm thinking about going Wednesdays as well. So we're looking at Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thinking about doing more lives. I love having the interactions with you guys and sharing our stories and sharing our opinions on pro wrestling. We got to do Cruiserweight Top 5 next time. Everyone do their homework. Make sure you come with your top 5 Cruiserweights of all time. Because there's a lot. And I feel like a lot of them are going to be coming from WCW, ECW in the early 2000s of WWE. A lot of talent to keep up with. But of course, that's for next time. Monday Night Raw will be quite the show to see where we go from here in regards to the fallout of Saturday night's main event. We're on the fast track to the first ever episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Very excited for that. It should be a monumental episode. Something that will set in motion for WrestleMania 41. We've already got the gears turning, I think, since War Games. That's where we started. But when we get to Monday Night Raw on Netflix, we'll kind of have a clearer idea of where we're going. At least I think. Of course, I want to thank you guys for joining us on the live stream tonight, again on a Saturday night following Saturday night's main event. We look forward to Monday's live stream. Keep an eye out. We might do one on Wednesday. I'll make sure to keep a community tab open. Friday, of course, we will do another live stream, and we'll go from there. Of course, thank you guys. Listen to Network. He says, I love you, Solo. Acknowledge your tribal chief for the time being, because tribal combat is on the horizon. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you guys for joining this live stream. And I thought about every now and then when we go offline and we end a stream, why not end it with some kind of little factoid? To end the stream tonight, I thought it was interesting. Tonight we had Saturday night's main event. Did you know the only guy who was on Saturday night's main event tonight, who had previously been on Saturday night's main event? Cody Rhodes. 2008. He was the only guy tonight on the card that had been on Saturday night's main event. With that being said, of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for joining me on tonight's live stream. We will see you Monday morning, Monday afternoon, depending when you watch it, with the J Area podcast, and of course, a Monday night live stream. Until then, be good people.